I'm glad you're here. And I mean that, because the fact that you showed up tells me something. It tells me you suspect there's more in you than you've been using. And let me give you my best advice in the first 60 seconds. Don't leave your life up to accident. Don't leave your future to whoever shouts the loudest or whatever happens next. Design it intentionally. And the simplest tool I know for designing a life is goals. Not wishful thinking, not hoping. Now, I know what some people say. They say, I don't need goals, I'm doing fine. Okay. Let me test that idea with a little story. When I was a young man, I had a mentor. His name was Earl Schoaf. He was the one who turned my life around. One day he looked at me and said, let me see your list of goals. And I said, I don't have one. He paused just for a moment. And then he said something like this, then I can probably guess what your bank balance looks like. Now listen, that bothered me because I knew he was right. Not because he was a magician, because he understood a simple principle. If you don't have a plan, you'll live inside someone else's plan. If you don't have a direction, you'll drift. And drifting has predictable results. So today, we're going to fix that. Not with fancy language, with fundamentals. Here's the first fundamental. Goals are not mainly for what you get. Goals are mainly for what you become, because you can chase money and get some. But the real value is the person you had to build to earn it. You can chase health and lose some weight, but the real value is the discipline you developed. You can chase knowledge and pass a test, but the real value is the mind you shaped. See, the big question isn't, what do I want? The big question is, who do I need to become to have what I want? That's why goals aren't childish. Goals are mature because they force you to grow up in the best way. They force you to practice becoming a better human being. Now let's talk about the enemy. The enemy isn't failure. Failure is an event. You can learn from an event. The enemy is drift. Drift is when you live by reaction. You wake up and whatever is urgent becomes important. Someone else's priorities become your day. And drift is sneaky. It feels normal. You can drift for years and call it being busy. But time has a way of exposing drift. Because one day you look in the mirror and you say, how did I end up here? And the answer is rarely dramatic. The answer is usually little by little. Then one day, you realize you've been living on autopilot. So goals are your antidote. Goals turn someday into scheduled. Goals turn drifting into direction. Now, let me help you do this correctly, because a lot of people do goal setting like they do New Year's resolutions. They write one big thing. They get emotional for a weekend. Then life hits them on Monday, and the paper disappears. So here's the way to avoid that. Don't set goals in one corner. Write goals in categories, because life comes in compartments, and neglect in one compartment eventually leaks into the others. So I want you to use 6 categories, and I want you to write at least one goal in each. 1, health. 2, money and career. 3, skills and education. 4, family and relationships. 5, lifestyle and experiences. 6, contribution and meaning. And here's the key. Write them down. Some people say, I keep my goals in my head. No, you keep your worries in your head. Goals belong on paper. Writing makes it real. Writing turns a vague intention into a decision. Now, once you write goals, you need time frames. Because goals without time frames are just wishes wearing nice clothes. So I want you to think in 3 time frames. First, a vision, 3 to 5 years. Not because you can predict everything, but because you need a direction. Second, a target, 12 months. Something measurable, something you can review. Third, a plan, 90 days. Because 90 days is long enough to see progress and short enough to stay urgent. Here's how it works. Let's say your long-term vision is to be financially strong. Okay, your 12-month target might be increase income, reduce waste, build savings. Good. Your 90-day plan becomes learn a skill, start a project, create a system. Notice this, as the time frame gets shorter, the actions get more specific. That's how you avoid fantasy. Big dream, small steps, daily practice. Now, let me give you another picture. Because people always ask, how do I avoid hard times? Well, there are seasons. There's spring, there's summer, there's fall, and there's winter. And you don't get to vote winter out of office, but you do get to prepare. If you plant well in spring, you have a chance in fall. If you neglect the planting, you will pay in winter. Goals are how you plant. Goals are how you prepare. Preparation is what turns life from scary to manageable. Now, a goal without a reason is fragile. You need a why. So here's an exercise that is so simple, it's almost embarrassing. But the simple things, practiced consistently, are the things that change your life. Take your biggest goal and ask, why do I want this? Answer it. Then ask again, 5 times. Because the first reason is often surface level. I want more money. Okay. Why? Maybe the real reason is freedom. Maybe it's to help your parents. Maybe it's to build security for your family. Maybe it's to do work that matters. When you find the real reason, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop saying, do I feel like it? You start saying, this is who I am now. Now let's talk about small disciplines. Because people want big changes. They want a dramatic turnaround. But life changes like money grows. A little at a time, a few pennies. If you keep neglecting the pennies, it looks harmless. A small late night here, a small expense there, a small excuse, but those pennies become pounds, and those pounds become a life. Now here's the good news. A few pennies of discipline also add up. 10 pages a day, 30 minutes of practice, a daily walk, a weekly review. Small disciplines, practice consistently, create extraordinary results. And that brings us to the most practical part. Turn goals into numbers so your calendar can hold them. Because here's where most people get stuck. They have a goal, but they don't have a plan. So let's make it concrete. If your goal is to save money, don't just say save. Give it a number. Give it a deadline. Then break it down. If the goal is 300,000 inches a year, that's 25,000 a month. That's a weekly target. Now you can measure if your goal is to learn a skill. Don't say, I'll study. Say, I will do 60 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Now it's real. Goals that can't be measured are usually just hopes wearing a nice suit. Now let me give you what I consider the master habit. If you do this one thing, you'll be ahead of most people. Once a week, same day, same time. You sit down and you review your goals. You ask 3 questions. 1, what did I do well this week? 2, what did I neglect this week? 3, what are the 3 most important actions for next week? Then you schedule those actions, because if it isn't scheduled, it's going to be sacrificed. It'll be pushed aside by the urgent. A weekly review turns intention into momentum. And momentum is one of the greatest forces in human life. Now, let's be honest. You're going to miss a day. You're going to get distracted. You're going to have a week where life happens. So, here's a rule. Don't demand perfection. Demand return. If you miss once, okay, get back, but don't miss twice. Because the danger isn't missing one workout. The danger is deciding you're not a workout person. The danger isn't missing one study session. The danger is deciding you're not a learner. Guard your identity. Your identity is built by repetition. Now here's another exercise that wakes up your mind. Write 50 goals, and somebody always says, 50? I can't think of 50. Exactly. That's the point. Your mind has been sleeping. It's been trained to think small, practical, safe. 50 goals forces your imagination to wake up. You start to remember what you wanted before you settled. Some goals will be small. Some will be wild. Some will make you laugh. Write them anyway, because many people don't need a new tactic. They need a bigger vision. All right, let's close this out. If you want a better future, you don't start with luck. You start with direction. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Number 1, write goals in the 6 categories. Number 2, choose one major goal and find your real reason. Number 3, turn it into a 90-day plan with numbers. Number 4, pick one non-negotiable daily habit. Number 5, schedule a weekly review. And then be patient, not passive. Patient, because life can change fast, but personal growth usually happens day by day. And if you do the simple disciplines over time, you'll look back and you'll say, I didn't just reach my goals, I became someone I respect. That's the real win. Thank you. Now, go write that list.